Königstein Fortress, German, Festung Königstein, the Saxon Bastille, is a hilltop fortress near Dresden, in Saxon Switzerland, Germany. Above the town of Königstein on the left bank of the River Elbe. It is one of the largest hilltop fortifications in Europe and sits atop the table hill of the same name. The 9.5-hectare, 23-acre, rock plateau rises 240 meters, 790 feet, above the Elbe and has over 50 buildings, some over 400 years old, that bear witness to the military and civilian life in the fortress. The rampart run of the fortress is 1,800 meters, 5,900 feet, long with walls up to 42 meters, 138 feet, high and steep sandstone faces. In the center of the site is a 152.5 meters deep, 500 ft 4-in, well, which is the deepest in Saxony and the second deepest well in Europe. The fortress, which for centuries was used as a state prison, is still intact and is now one of Saxony's foremost tourist attractions, with 700,000 visitors per year. By far the oldest written record of a castle on the Königstein is found in a deed by King Wenceslaus I of Bohemia dating to the year 1233, in which a witness is named as Burgrave Gebhard of Stein. At that time the region was split between the Kingdom of Bohemia and the Bishopric of Meissen. The medieval castle belonged to the Kingdom of Bohemia. After the king and later emperor Charles IV had Uhlau Castle, which dominated the southern region, destroyed in 1348 by townsfolk from Aussig. He spent from 5 to the 19th August 1359 on the Königstein and signed the authority for shipping rights. The castle was pledged several times in the 50 years that followed, including to the Donans. Because this family was enemies of the Margraves of Meissen, the latter finally captured the castle in 1408 during the Dana feud that had been raging since 1385. But not until the 25th April 1459 was the transfer of the castle to the Margraviate of Meissen finally completed once the Saxon-Bohemian border had been settled in the Treaty of Eger. Unlike the other rock castles in Saxon Switzerland, the Königstein continued to be used by the Saxon dukes and prince-electors for military purposes. At one stage the Königstein was also a monastery. In 1516, Duke George the Bearded, a fierce opponent of the Reformation, founded a Celestine abbey on the Königstein, the Kloster des Lobes der Wunder Marii. It closed again in 1524 after the death of Duke George. Saxony became evangelical. It is probable that there had been a stone castle on the Königstein as early as the 12th century. The oldest surviving structure today is the castle chapel built at the turn of the 13th century. In the years 1563 to 1569 the 152.5-meter deep well was bored into the rock within the castle. Until that point, the garrison of the Königstein had to obtain water from cisterns and by collecting rainwater. During the construction of the well some 8 cubic meters of water had to be removed from the shaft every day. Between 1589 and 1591-97 Prince-Elector Christian I of Saxony and his successor had the castle developed into the strongest fortification in Saxony. Even after the expansion during those periods of time there continued to be modifications and additions on the extensive plateau. Street. John's Hall, Johanneshall, built in 1631 was converted in 1816 into the new armory, Neues Zughaus. In 1819 the Magdalenenburg Castle was turned into a provisions magazine that was fortified to withstand bombardment. The old provisions store became a barracks. The treasury, Schatzhaus, was built from 1854 to 1855. After the fortress had been incorporated in 1871 into the fortification system of the new German Empire. Battery ramparts, battery wall, were constructed from 1870 to 1895 with 8 firing points, that were to have provided all-round defense for the fortress in case of an attack that, in the event, never came. This was at this time that the last major building work was done on the fortress. Because Königstein Fortress was regarded as unconquerable, the Saxon monarchs retreated to it from Wittenberg and later Dresden during times of crisis and also deposited the state treasure and many works of art from the famous Swinger here. It was also used as a country retreat due to its lovely surroundings. That is all. Subscribe and post comment for future videos.